Alright, happy Halloween to my subscribers and everyone watching out there. This is gonna be my Halloween costume. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, that is okay. So this newest Marvel series just wrapped up, like just a few hours ago. So now, the time has come for me to talk about it. And spoiler warning, I'm gonna give you a spoiler warning for this series. I'm gonna talk about everything that happens in this season of TV in detail, including what happens in the finale. I mean, not everything. I'm gonna cover kind of the basic outline of it. So you've been warned. Alright, let's get started. Agatha All Along. So Agatha All Along is the 11th season of TV in the ever-expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe and the 4th in its Phase 5 part of the Multiverse Saga. It's the 8th installment of Phase 5 overall, the 24th installment of the Multiverse Saga overall, and the 47th installment of the MCU overall. So this is a spin-off of WandaVision centering around the character of Agatha Harkness, played once again by Kathryn Hahn. At the end of WandaVision, after her showdown with the Scarlet Witch, she was placed under a spell and drained of her power. 3 years later, she is broken free from that spell by some seemingly random teenager, and now she wants her power back. So she gathers a coven of witches, and they travel down the witches' road for each of them to get what they want. And now we have our spooky series, which, gonna be honest with you, I loved this series pretty much all the way through. It was great, and I love Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness, cause she was the villain in WandaVision, you know? Or one of the villains, anyway. She's not to be trusted, so she's not a saint. She holds to that in this series. The whole time, the other characters are like, should we trust her? No, we should not, because she's probably got her own agenda. And of course, they're right about that. But Hahn absolutely nails this performance. She's overdramatic in the best way. She's really outspoken and theatrical, you know? Which then brings us to Joe Locke, who at first, his character is only known as Teen, because when he tries to say his name, we see that there's a sigil on him, so, like, we don't hear his name. That keeps the mystery alive, and of course, there was a theory out there that he is Billy Kaplan, which, yeah, that is right. I'll get to that. I told you, spoilers. But Joe Locke was a standout of this series, especially towards the end when he takes the lead role. I thought he was awesome. Also joining them on their quest is Aubrey Plaza as Rio Vidal, who I gotta say was born to play that role. Holy shit, she was perfectly cast, I think, as it is also revealed later on who her character actually is. I was like, yeah, she's perfect. As for the other supporting characters, they played their part. You have Jennifer Kale, she's good. You have Patti LuPone herself as Lilia Calderu. I'm not gonna tell you she wasn't good. She was awesome. I mean, she's Patti LuPone for crying out loud. Legend. Now, getting right into the series, I loved the first two episodes, which both premiered on the same night. The setup, I thought it was great. It shows how Agatha gets out of her spell, that slow revelation. This show is slow-paced. There were a couple of scenes where I was like, I didn't think that scene needed to be in there. They put it in there to draw out the runtime of the episodes, of which there are 9. And I do get why there are 9 episodes. My problem isn't with the fact that there are 9 of them, but rather just the lengths of some of them. Some of them actually could have been shorter, believe it or not. Just some scenes felt unnecessary, like in the 8th episode, if I'm jumping ahead for a second. The beginning where Alice wakes up and Death is like, it's time to go. I ultimately didn't feel like that scene was necessary, but that's just me. So yeah, this show did have that problem a couple of times, but other than that, that's really my only problem with the show. Other than that, I thought it was awesome. But anyway, back to the setup. When they summoned the road by singing the Ballad of the Witch's Road, I mean, first of all, let's just stop and appreciate the fact that that song, the Sacred Chant version of the ballad, is awesome. I've listened to it so many times since it was released, because it elevates my soul. I love music like that. The slow build-up, the anticipation, the harmony stacking up, and then the strings coming in at the end, it's epic. And so onto the road they go. And so, you know, like for the next few episodes, actually for most of the series, it's the trials. Many miles of tricks and trials. Kind of like how I predicted this series would be in my videos on the trailers. It is kind of like that, kind of. Not for the entire season, obviously, but for a good chunk of it. What I didn't see coming, though, is that some of the characters, yeah, they start dying. Like, really dying. Like, I mean, poor Sharon Davis, Deborah Jo Rupp, returning from WandaVision, she's dragged along on this journey, and she was the first to go. I was like, she was an innocent woman. She wasn't even a witch. She was just dragged along because Agatha Harkness went to go get a Green Witch to fill in that role because Death was supposed to be there, but just she didn't want to go get Death because they used to date, so she didn't want to get her. So she brought along an innocent woman and she died. I was like, oh, poor lady. I'm like, that sucks. The next to go is Alice, which really sucks for her because her generational curse was just lifted. She's like, yes, I get to live, and then she dies. I was like, okay. Although I will say for that episode, I was not a fan of that rock version of the ballad. I think it's just because I was so used to the Sacred Chant version for the past couple of weeks, and I loved it so much that I didn't like what they did with the rock version. Looking back on it though, after having watched the finale, I can appreciate it a little more though, just saying. And then the last to go is Lilia Calderu, Patti LuPone's character, which I will say that episode I also wasn't a huge fan of because of the way it's like out of time and out of order, because her character was divination. She could see into the future. That episode revealed that she sees time as an illusion. She's like constantly going throughout different points in time. It reminded me of the end of the movie Arrival, which I'll let you know, I did not like the ending of that movie. And that's because I personally don't subscribe to that theory about time. I just don't see time as a non-linear thing. I've never seen any proof to that theory. No, time moves forward. There is a past, there is a present, and there is the future. That's how it is. That's just how I see it because that is what is clear to me. That's why I hated the ending of the movie Arrival, and that's why I was not a fan of that one episode of Agatha All Along. Although I guess it makes more sense in the context of the MCU since there's magic everywhere in that universe, so sure, fine. Time's been weird in the MCU before a million times at this point. So fine, it's weird for Lilia Calderu. Plus her death was sad and tragic and it was executed very well. Alright, executed. That pun was not intentional, I promise, but since it was there... So then we come to the last two episodes, the ones that just premiered. Again, both on the same night, that's fitting. Right on time for the series to wrap up right at Halloween, that's perfect. So the only other witch left standing is Jen, and we learn that Agatha is the one who bound her. So they do the unbinding ritual and Jen lives. She gets off the road. She escapes, good for her. She gets to live her life now as a witch. But the real revelations come right after that. Oh, but first wait, I gotta go back. Hang on, I'm sorry. Couple episodes beforehand, we get the reveal that the teen, yeah, he's actually Billy Maximoff. He's Wiccan, which was a great reveal. Would have been better if we hadn't known about it beforehand, but this happens with so many Marvel titles at this point. Shit gets leaked or just theories go online. I miss the days when Marvel reveals were like shocking. Then again, there was Deadpool and Wolverine earlier this year. I didn't see a few of those cameos coming, but I'm just saying, for this one I saw both the reveals coming because they were leaked online. Still doesn't change the fact though that Joe Locke as Billy Maximoff, aka Wiccan, is awesome. Yeah, we learned that after the events of WandaVision, the artificially made souls of Wanda's kids, they actually found this body of a kid who died in a car crash right outside the Hex. So now the body of this kid who had just died is possessed by the soul of Billy Maximoff. That's great because it is kind of an homage to his origins in the comics, which are really complicated. I read a little bit about it. Man, oh man. But yeah, now Billy Maximoff is back, but we also learn in this 8th episode that the other soul, Tommy Maximoff, is also in there. So Agatha helps Billy get it out of him, and so that soul finds another poor kid who just died. This kid who drowned and got bullied and had no one. Oh my god, that poor soul, but now it has another chance, I guess, as someone else. Tommy Shepard, speed, baby! And so Agatha and Billy, they get off the road, where they are confronted by Death. Played by Aubrey Plaza, that's right. Aubrey Plaza's character, Rio Vidal, yeah, she is actually Death, which is why I was like, oh, that's perfect casting. Aubrey Plaza playing Death. That's brilliant. And let's all just be honest with ourselves. She owns that role. Yeah, like I'm sure she had no idea she was being filmed there. And also just gotta address it. Seeing her in that outfit in episode 8, I was like, she's sexy as fuck. I'm just saying, man, when my time inevitably comes, I will gladly go with Death if she looks like that. But ultimately, Agatha does give her life to save Wiccan, which, by the way, seeing him in that superhero Wiccan outfit, that was pretty awesome. I literally, on my couch, I was like, let's go! That was badass. But yeah, Agatha Harkness dies. And so, like, the whole conflict seems resolved, but I was like, there's another episode to go after this. What more to the story could there possibly be? That's a lot of epilogue to cover. Oh man, the twist. So the 9th and final episode, the finale, Maiden Mother Crone, reveals to us that the Witch's Road, it was never real. It was never an actual thing. So the Ballad of the Witch's Road was a trick that was made up by Agatha and her son, Nicholas Scratch, like back in the 1700s to trick witches into blasting her with their powers so she could drain them of their energies and kill them. The ballad was a song that was written by Agatha and her son, and it evolved over the centuries after her son died and was taken by death. So that's what Agatha's been doing all this time. She's been singing the ballad with other witches and killing them and taking their energy. That's how she's been alive all this time, I guess. So when the road actually did appear in the beginning of this series, you could see in this finale, Agatha was like, wait, what the fuck? We learned that the road was made a reality by Billy Maximoff, by Wiccan, because that's what Wiccan does as the son of the Scarlet Witch. And I was like, what a twist! Yeah, that was awesome! So then Billy figures out that, oh crap, that means I'm responsible for all those deaths. Sharon Davis, Alice Wu Gulliver, Lilia Calderu. And then Agatha Harkness's ghost comes up to him because she can do that, I guess. Hey, there was a ghost before in the series. Her mother came down, you know? Ghosts exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. Then again, there is the Ancestral Plane in Black Panther and stuff like that, but you know what I mean. More magic and lore is always being built in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now we have Mistress Death, for crying out loud, played by Aubrey Plaza, who's sexy and awesome. So in the end, Billy decides to team up with the ghost of Agatha Harkness. They're gonna be a coven of 2, and now they're gonna go search for Tommy Maximoff, which makes me think one thing. they're gonna join the Young Avengers. Yeah, we know that group is being put together, so alright, we're gonna have Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, and now Billy and Tommy Maximoff, probably Riri Williams as well, and I'll be honest, I can't wait for that shit. And now, real quickly, before I wrap this up, I'll touch on the show's music. I did a little bit already with The Ballad of the Witch's Road, but the score, which was done by Christoph Beck, returning from WandaVision and the Ant-Man films, I love the score in this show. Agatha's theme, which played over some of the credits, that was badass. He did bring on another composer as well, I forget their name, but yeah, man, they did a great job. Props to them. So in conclusion, Agatha All Along was awesome. I loved it. I'd give it a solid like 9 out of 10. Again, some pacing issues here and there. There were some scenes that did just seem to draw out the runtime of some of the episodes. Some scenes that did feel unnecessary. Like whenever I watch the finale again, I'm gonna skip all that backstory with Nicholas Scratch. I'm just gonna cut to right when she gets to Billy. I mean, granted, that backstory was absolutely necessary, but you know, still. What's kind of boring. Maybe I'll bump the series down to an 8.75 or something, I don't know. Point is, I loved it. Great watch for Spooky Season 2024. I can't wait to see where Billy Maximoff and Tommy Maximoff go from here. Kathryn Hahn was awesome as Agatha Harkness. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna see her again. I mean, who knows? I still don't think Wanda Maximoff is dead. I do believe she is out there somewhere. She'll be back, maybe in Vision Quest. Only Feige knows. But yeah, props to this series. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. So, Agatha All Along. Have you watched it yet? Have you watched the whole thing? What are your thoughts on it? Spoilers and all. And where do you think Billy's and probably Tommy's story is gonna go from here? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Happy Halloween!